Hello and welcome everyone to the next podcast, Simulated Reality. Today we have with us the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Decimal Point Analytics with us, Shailesh Duri. Hi Shailesh, thank you for coming. How are you today?
Thank you for having me today on this podcast. I'm doing great. Monsoon had started in Mumbai, so very happy about that. Mm.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. I was hearing that there was a lot of heat.
Now
It
the
was
heat has
really
gone.
hot and
Heat has gone.
fantastic. On that positive notes, let's start our discussion. We are going to be discussing on something on the technology that is behind what has taken the AI world by storm, which is the large language models and generative AIs, right? Which is
Yes.
transformers or GPTs.
Yes.
You know. Uh, so before we start, Shailesh, right? Can
Mm.
you lay us the framework of what transformers are, and then maybe we can dive into why it has become or it is creating the buzz that it is today, right?
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Uh, let's say the people in the AI industry have been trying for last 40 years to develop uh, chatbots. Now, why they are succeeding now, hmm, as against 40 years ago, is a question that is an interesting question. So there are three things which have happened. First thing is that the compute power has become very large. So you have got NVIDIA chips and other chips coming into market, which help matrix multiplications, which is the core of any AI calculation at low cost and high speed. Second is that internet has really spread across the world, especially in parts of developing world like India, and the amount of data that could be ingested by these tools have become large. Now, the technique by itself is, let's say, RNN or ANN, is there for last maybe 15, 20 years. But as it ingests more and more data, it is able to do more work. So earlier, they were used as classifiers mainly. Now, as they ingest the entire internet, they are able to make predictions. So what is a generative tool? It is basically predicting the next word. If I see a sentence of if I see a few words in a particular sequence, what is the next word going to be? And then it predicts that. So let us say we give 5 words in a sequence. It predicts the sixth word. Then it takes all the 6 words, puts it back into the same loop. I have seen these 6 words. What is the seventh word going to be? And so on and so forth. And that is how. And for that, it has the entire corpus of internet available to it. Hope I have been able to explain it in simple terms.
No, definitely. I think this is really helpful, and I think now that we have, laid the premise, or we have kind of understood what it is.
Mm.
About how the entire GPT algorithms are going to impact analytics, right?
Yes.
Analytics as a space. Uh, can you help us understand, what is the current potential of these GPTs? What is the, you know, what are some of the transformative potentials of this? Since because we have you mentioned that we have been doing this for a while, right? But today transformers are kind of changing the game entirely. Why is that? What is it behind us, these transformers that can enable it to? And how can it revolutionize fields, especially with relation to something like customer service, content creation, scientific research, etc. Right?
Yes. Okay. So let me lay out a framework for you. So right now, the transformers, the GPTs, are basically uh, looking at the human languages, which are available on internet. And that is why they are able to, because there's a huge corpus available on internet, they are able to do translations. They are able to even do computer programming languages, because again the corpus is available of various codes of computer languages on internet. Now, how it will change things like customer service? The customer service chatbots that we are seeing, let's say, till recently, they were very simple chatbots. So they were basically the menu-driven systems converted to a chatbot. Now, the GPTs would be able to understand the context and answer the question as required by the as by the user. So they'll be more powerful. And customer service call centers and contact centers are real pain points for companies, because retaining talent there is very difficult. It is not a rewarding career for many youngsters. So people change quite frequently. So if that can be automated, it will lead to uh, lower cost for the companies, and also better satisfaction for the employees of the company. Content creation is another thing that is going to happen, and I'll let content creation question answer later. Let me talk about the point that you made about scientific research. So let me lay out a framework for you. As I mentioned, that they are currently consuming the large corpus of language data available on internet. Now, what else can they consume? If you look at scientific research, what else can GPTs consume? So we can have GPTs for atoms, you can have GPTs for waves, you can have GPTs for DNA. So what are these things? Like, see, you know, all of us. Let me take DNA as an example. All of us are made up of cells, and cells have DNAs, and then DNAs get transformed via RNAs into proteins. Now, that is a humongous amount of data. 8 billion human beings have 8 billion unique DNAs, and plus all other species have their own DNA data. Now, if this data is separately given to GPTs, then let us say creating vaccines for viruses uh, with known uh, kind of adverse reactions will be very easy. Doing Monte Carlo simulations will be very easy. So, and that will transform scientific research in a big way. Let's say in biology. So that is one way. Then I mentioned about waves. So currently 5G networks are coming, and 6G is about to come maybe in 5 to 6 years time. And optimizing those networks is a big problem. Now, if you think what they are transmitting are basically signals, and those signals are nothing but human languages. You and I are speaking, and that is getting transmitted over 5G. So if a 5G network is enabled with LLM, then it can really optimize itself by making predictions about the usage, what I am going to speak next, and optimize its power and availability to a particular location. So that would reduce the cost of mobile telephony and internet dramatically. Similarly, for when we use LLMs along with, let's say, scans of brain, identifying issues with the brains of human beings or other tissues of human beings would be far easier. Right now, scanning brains doesn't give too much insight, because it is not a predictive mechanism; it is a reactive mechanism that we're deploying. But if you apply to that, this will be a great tool. Another would be in defense area, where let us say we can create radars which are just listening mode radar. Right now, radars are trans receivers, which gives away location of radar, because you can see from where the signal is coming. But when you are looking at waves and capturing those waves, and making predictions and see where the predictions are going haywire, and that is where the enemy airplane is coming or whatever. It can be a listening mode radar. So,
Okay.
it is not only that language, but it is going to change nearly everything. That
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's what from what I'm listening to you is you are saying it's the very fundamental nature of different elements that we are dealing with
yes,
that Chat GPT has, or sorry, GPTs have kind of cracked to work, on these different forms and formats
yes,
that it is changing this, right?
yes.
So, looking ahead, as GPTs reshape these different technologies, right?
Mhm.
Uh, how do you envision organizations fundamentally changing their approach to data-driven decision making, right?
Yes.
How might the integration of GPTs inspire new strategies, reshape industries for a future driven by intelligent insights?
I think that's a very interesting question. So, right now, nearly all the organizations are generating huge amount of data or have access to huge amount of external data, and many of them are not able to utilize the data fully well in real time basis. See, maybe 10-15 years ago, the cutting edge was do the analysis on Excel and send the insight reports. Then at one end we got dashboards, another end we got ML, and now we are getting this interaction where the uh, analysts or the users can ask questions to the entire corpus of the knowledge of the corporation, that is either internal or whatever external is acquired, and get question answers in real time, which they can interpret instead of getting a dump of file that these are the records, and you figure out what is there. You will get the analysis directly, so it will make the analysis quite easier. Other thing that would happen is that see, GPTs currently have one or two limitations. So the first limitation is that they are not able to do computation quite well. So for that,
Okay.
GPTs need to be married with, let's say, something like a computation engine. Like Wolfram has tied its Wolfram Alpha with GPTs, Chat GPT. So then you get best of both worlds. You get not only the information sorted, but also computations done. Because many a times companies or businesses require computations done and not just raw data. So that is the area of active work that is going on with many corporations. So in consumer, let's say in contact center and this use case, that computation is not required. But in any other case, let's say uh, when you are doing pricing models, or when you are designing a new car, or when you are doing acquisition of new markets or opening a new branch decisions, then not only that you should be able to get answers, but you should be able to do some computations on the answers. So that would be a next step.
Okay, okay. So you're saying that there are still a little bit of limitations when it comes to GPTs, but
Yes.
GPTs have kind of transformed in a lot of sense what some of the algorithms before this, which could not
Yes.
be
Correct.
captured, right? So
Correct.
what is it about fundamentally about these GPTs that make it so strong, right? So what are some of the key factors that contributed to the rise of these GPTs and took the, everybody's talking about generative AI,
Yes.
and the GPTs are the technology behind it. What is it that algorithms previously could not solve that they are solving today?
Yes. So uh, it seems, and nobody knows the answer to this question, is that GPTs are able to create a structure of logical thinking, or at least they can create a sense of logical thinking, which was
But
not.
nobody knows why.
Nobody knows why. Hmm? Nobody
Okay,
knows
that's
why.
interesting.
Okay, nobody knows why, but is able to create that logical sense uh, when you get the answer, and that is very satisfying for users. So let us say just before this, you had machine learning algorithms, you had classifiers. So if on a online platform, if I order a toilet seat, next time and I search for a toilet seat on a let's say search engine, for next 10 days I will get advertisements for toilet seats. Now toilet seats one buys maybe once in a lifetime, right? You don't buy toilet seats regularly. Hmm? But the machine learning was not that smart enough to figure out that these use cases are not repetitive use cases. So certain use cases, if I buy a particular brand of tea, then obviously after 3 months or 1 month, I'm going to buy the brand of tea again. So showing me that advertisement is valuable, but showing me advertisement of toilet seat is not going to be valuable. So those kind of logical decisions, hopefully, GPTs would be able to make right now. We don't know why, hmm? But they seem to be able to distinguish there. Uh, Hope I answered your question there.
Yeah, definitely. I think what you're trying to say is essentially it understands context. Context, it understands really,
Understand the context. Yes,
right?
yes,
It is able to kind of differentiate between a certain set of events depending on uh, how probably humans make decisions or how a certain mind will make a decision or something like that.
yes.
But you're saying it remains very much essential to go behind the why of it and find out how it is able to make such decisions, right?
Because
But give
regulators are going to hold companies accountable for use of GPTs, especially in consumer-facing applications. So if
correct,
GPT gives a wrong recommendation, the company is on the hook. So it is necessary to understand why it is giving that recommendation.
correct. The explainability of it probably needs to be
Captured.
figured out.
Yeah.
While that is the case, when it comes to specifically analytics, right, analytics functions, it is very much within I would say that it won't impact it as much as making very critical decisions for humans, right? Imbibing GPTs into analytics functions and kind of enabling data analysis and data science, this thing. uh, how do you think your GPT is disrupting traditional analytics methods and practices,
It-
right?
it-
And they're in
sorry, continue.
Yeah, and how are they kind of enabling organizations to make new insights, make predictions, and gain competitive advantage over other industries?
Yeah, so I think the change that is happening is fundamentally very strong change. So, especially in the analytics space, the amount of data at any one time GPTs are able to ingest and give recommendations on is amazingly high. For example, if I'm making a financial model and I'm trying to see how the revenue of a company is increasing and what are the drivers. One is that I can apply my own brain and say, okay, this company produces this widget in this industry. So this industry is growing at this rate, and hence it will grow at this particular rate. Or I leave it to GPT when GPT has access to all industries, all widgets growth rates in the past, as well as this company's growth rate in the past, and then say, actually this company is correlated with this particular industry more. Okay. So then the job of analyst would become far easier. So which otherwise was even till recently was difficult for them to do this work. They had to make certain own predictions on their own, and then look at the data and do the analytics, and then maybe devise dashboards, or then maybe devise machine learning algorithms to produce those reports regularly. But here the GPTs can do the job of finding out the uh, variables that would change the outcome.
Fantastic. Given this, given that given that we observe that GPTs are so strong, especially in terms of making predictions in this thing, how do you see this impacting the role of an analytics professional? Right? Do you think that the role of a data and analytics professional or data scientist will remain relevant? Do you think it will automate most of it? Especially with not just it being able to make predictions, but automate codes, automate writing codes, or in a lot of sense, removing those repetitive tasks which were needed for a coder or an analytics professionals, right? So do you see that change in the role of an analytics professional, or how do you think it will impact it? Will it replace it completely, or it will be embedded? How will it work out?
Perfect. So we need to differentiate between job to be done and task to be performed. Job to be done is what outcome I want and what task I need to perform to achieve that outcome. Okay. Human beings have been automating tasks for hundreds of years for the same outcome. See, I grew up in a city near Mumbai called Thane. When I was small, baby, there used to be horse-driven tangas, horse carriages, and then came auto rickshaws, and now there is a metro, right? Now the job to be done is that people want to go from point A to point B. Earlier it was a horse tanga, then rickshaw, now metro. Similarly, in analytics, the job of the data analyst is to provide insights, is to provide increase outcomes. For that, the tasks that they have to use, tools that they have to use will change. If you get married to the tools, you will become obsolete. The tange wala who didn't become rickshaw wala became obsolete. Okay, but the person who understood that my job is to ferry people from point A to point B, they always remain relevant. So data analyst will always remain relevant. In fact, their job will increase now. The mundane tasks of writing simple codes, etc., will be done by machines. You have to use your brains. You have to find out new applications for your data and provide that. And let me make this point slightly more clear. What has happened in last 30 years since the advance of internet? What has internet done? Basically, has internet removed the friction in the economy? Not removed, reduced the friction in the economy. Friction, there is always a friction in the economy. So before internet, if I want to buy a particular product, I do not know where it is available. I have to ask 5 friends which shop it will be available. Then go shop to shop, go find, and then that will take 3 or 4 hours for me to buy a particular product. And with a rare product, it might take 2 or 3 days to find the product. Now with internet, that has become easier. I just type, I know who is the seller, and contact them and buy the product. Compare and buy the product at the cheapest particular price. The friction of in transactions have reduced because of internet, and analytics have supported that. So if you look at any online platform, that is what they are doing. They're reducing basically friction. But what has not changed dramatically is making of things and building of services. So the efficiency gains in production, manufacturing, or let us say in banking, or any other service industry, has not kept pace with the efficiency gains in the commerce side, in the friction reducing side. Now GPTs would help that happen. So let me give one example. Let's say we want to make far more efficient batteries for electric cars. Now, battery chemistry is an active area of research. GPTs can help there. So, my hope was for last 4 years that when GPTs become powerful, uh, the chemistry will become automated. So right now, chemistry is a hit and miss because you do not know which catalyst would change which process faster. It's a area of trial and error. But anywhere there is trial and error and data available, GPTs can do very good tasks.
Okay.
Hmm?
Okay.
So that would become, so that part of economy will start growing now, and then you need to change your attention, broaden your horizon to solving these kind of problems also. And in fact, the data analytics jobs or data analytics requirement will grow.
Okay. Okay.
Task will grow.
So, okay. On that very optimistic note, thank you so much, Shailesh, for your time today. I'm glad that you're of the opinion that it won't replace analytics jobs, but it would just evolve them in a lot of sense because I think you do need. People are talking, despite the advent of GPTs and many generative AI applications, the human in the loop or the importance of it, right? And I'm glad that you're of the opinion that uh, analytics jobs will remain relevant, but for them to not be obsolete, essentially, it is very much essential for them to upskill and identify where do they fit in into this new analytics landscape or life cycle. Uh, Thank you so much, Shailesh, for your time. It was great speaking with you. I hope that our readers, our listeners, have get insight into uh, what the technology behind the chat GPT or other generative AI applications. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good day.